I am Mrs. Schwanke, and welcome to Read Across the Globe. By the globe, we don't mean just the United States or just Kansas, do we? We mean the whole world. That's pretty amazing when you think about it, isn't it? Did anybody see this in the newspaper?
No.
Okay, this was in the newspaper telling that this was going to happen. And all across Brown County, we are doing this in fourth grade classrooms. That means Horton and Kickapoo Nation and here. We're also trying to break a Guinness Book of World Records for the number of children being read to in a 24-hour period. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? Okay, now the book that we have chosen is Farmer Will Allen and the Growing Table. Now, part of the reason for this book is we are being sponsored by several organizations in Hiawatha, and one of them is the Healthy Food Coalition. And you may have heard of the Healthy Food Coalition. They help with the summer food program at the Fisher Center and some of those kinds of things. I think they helped set up the farmers market that was in Lindy's parking lot. So we're talking about healthy foods. Now, before I begin with this book, if I can find my paper here, first I want to know, do you know the difference between rural and urban? Okay, we live in what's called a rural area. That means we're small towns and lots of farms around us. And you all, personally, I think you're very, very lucky to live in an area where you see our food being grown, don't you? And we all live in homes, or most of us live in homes where we could probably have a garden. And if not, we have community gardens. So we live in a rural area. An urban area would be one where it's cities. Places like Kansas City, Chicago, New York. Okay. All right, we're going to begin on the story, and I'd like to read through, and then we'll talk about some things you'd be thinking of, things you might not understand. All right? Farmer Will Allen and the Growing Table.
Farmer Will Allen is as tall as his truck. That's pretty good height. He can hold a cabbage or a basketball in one hand.
When he laughs, everyone laughs, glad to be in his crew. When he talks, everyone listens. But some say the special thing about Will Allen is that he can see what others can't see.
He can see what others can't see. Are they right? When he looked at an abandoned city lot and saw a huge table, he saw a huge table heaped with food. Was he right? The kitchen table. When Will Allen was a boy, bowls of peas, greens, and his favorite, lima beans with ham, covered
his kitchen table. My mother often fixed enough food for 30, Will says.
My mother often fixed enough food for 30 people. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. It'd be twice as many people that's in here now. Boy, she must have been some kind of cook. We never had a car or a TV, but we always had enough food. Let's try that again. We always had enough food. There. Did you say it?
But we always had good food. He remembers people who came to dinner tired and drooped and left laughing. Will's family grew most of their food. Will loved the food, but he hated the work.
Will loved the food, but hated the work. He planned to quit on planting, picking, and pulling weeds. Leave those Maryland fields
for basketball or white shirt work. And he did. He graduated from college and moved to Belgium to play professional basketball. Remember I said Belgium's a country in Europe? Okay. And let me stop here just a minute. White shirt work. Anybody know what he's talking about? If a man or a woman, if they go to a professional type job, doctors, lawyers, those kinds of things, that's considered white shirt work. Okay? That's what he's talking about. Not digging in the dirt. When a Belgian friend asked him to help dig potatoes, Will realized he loved digging in the dirt. He grew so much food that he and his wife Cindy covered their kitchen table with Thanksgiving dinner
for the team of basketball friends. So here he is working. He's got potatoes flying out of the ground, and they cooked up. What holiday did I just say it was? Yes, right here.
Thanksgiving.
You're welcome. Oh no, I mean yes, you're right. The holiday.
A new kind of farm. When Will was done with basketball, he worked a white shirt job in Wisconsin and found time to grow vegetables on Cindy's parents' land. But Will wanted his own place. He'd seen that fresh vegetables were as scarce in the city as trout in the desert. Will believed everyone, everywhere, had a right
to good food. But how could Will farm in the middle of pavement and parking lots? One day, driving in Milwaukee, Will spotted six empty greenhouses on a plot of land about the size of a large supermarket for sale. He could see kids who had never eaten a ripe tomato, never crunched a raw green bean, sitting at his table eating his vegetables. Will Allen bought that city lot.
Will had a start on his table. He had the land, but the table was empty. The problem was Will's soil, dirty with chemicals and pollution. He had no money for machines to dig out the bad soil, for truckloads of good soil. What to do? In Belgium, Will had learned to make good soil with food garbage. They called it composting. But he needed lots of garbage. He asked his friends to save food waste, apple peels to zucchini.
Will collected those scraps in big white buckets and dumped them into piles. And he added hay and leaves and newspapers and red wigglers. What in the world is that? Yes, sir.
Worms.
I had worms once, got rid of them. Right there's the word. What is it?
Worms.
You hit it right on the button. And he also put water in. So here he's building this compost out of newspapers.
No.
Yeah. Here it is. Leaves and newspapers. Because newspapers will rot. And the leaves will rot. And the hay will rot. And the worms, they move around in it and start mixing it up. What was the name of the worms? Yes, sir.
Red wigglies.
Yes. Red wiggler worms. Right? Okay.
Every now and then he turned the piles to get air into the mix. Neighborhood kids stopped by to ask what he was doing. Will told them about the piles and the red wiggler worms that would help the garbage become compost. The kids came back day after day to help.
Then one day, bad news. The red wiggler crew, the worms, were dying. Will and the kids studied worms for 5 years. They learned not to feed the worms too much, and they discovered the best menu for red wigglers: no hot peppers, no onions, no garlic. Lots of watermelon rinds, sweet potato scraps, molasses. Since then, the squirmy crew had stayed hard at work. Will says worm magic is what makes his farm grow.
Once Will had good soil, he was ready to plant vegetables. But he didn't have much space. How could he grow enough food on a small city plot? Will Allen looked around. He saw that he had all the space from the soil under his feet to the top of the greenhouses. He hung plant baskets from the ceiling. He grew greens in buckets, greens in rows. He crowded shelves with pots of spinach, chard, lettuce. He grew stacks of tiny salad sprouts in boxes, hundreds of boxes. Will added hoop houses to hold more boxes and more long rows of vegetables. I'm going to stop here. Hoop houses. Have you ever, I think even around here we have some that they store grain in, and all it is a greenhouse sort of a thing that's shaped like this, like a hoop, like this. Okay.
He added hoop houses to hold more boxes and more long rows of vegetables. He added vats of water and fish to his greenhouse. Fish wastewater grows the sprouts. The sprouts clean the water for the fish. Fish, water, sprouts work together like a three-part farm machine. He added goats, chickens, turkeys, and bees to that city farm he named Growing Power.
Finding farmers. Farmer Will's work clothes are jeans and a blue sweatshirt with cut-off sleeves. He's busy from early morning to night. Still, one person could never grow all the food Will wanted to grow.
He said to himself, I can't do this by myself. I'm going to have to get some friends and buddies to help me do this. Still, one person couldn't grow the food that he wanted to do. Where could he find more farmers in the middle of a city? Will Allen looked around. He saw teenagers and school kids and parents and grandparents. He taught them to be farmers. When Will's table held as much as several supermarkets, thousands of pounds of food. Think of that, thousands of pounds.
Neighbors who lived in high-rises far off the growing ground came and still come to Will's farm to buy fresh vegetables, fish, or eggs. People have gone and still go to fancy restaurants to eat Will's food. But Will wanted his table to feed folks all over the world. How could he build one huge table that crossed continents?
Here's where that globe comes in. Will thought about the problem of a world-sized table. He looked around and saw his many helpers who'd learned to be farmers. He would teach people everywhere to grow food for their own tables. Will Allen began to travel. He has crisscrossed the United States showing others how to farm in the city. And he has taken his red wigglers, that's those worms, remember, to Kenya, to London, all over the world. The world has also come to his Milwaukee farm. 20,000 visitors a year tour the greenhouses, watch goats, snack on greens, and go home planning to start a farm on a city lot, rooftop, or abandoned highway.
Will and the 50 million. Is Will Allen done? Never. We need 50 million more people growing food on porches, in pots, in side yards, he says. Will Allen is always looking for new ways to make the table bigger. More schoolyard plots, a vertical farm that's 5 stories high, farms in empty factories or warehouses. Will Allen dreams of a day when city farmers are as common as streetlights and every table is covered with good food.
Will Allen can see what others can't see. When he sees kids, he sees farmers. Will you be on Will Allen's crew? Will you grow vegetables for your family?
Your neighbors?
On your porch or roof or yard?
Or a vacant field?
How big
will
will
your
your
table
table be?
That is the end.